Testing, testing, testing. Oh, Papa Swoleo's coming. I'm coming for you. I'm coming for all y'all. That's right. That's right. I'm here. Daddy's here. Papa Swoleo's here, fam. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Test, test, test. Testing, test, test, test. Testing, test. You ready, fam? You ready? Let's do it.
The sun is shining, the birds are chirping, the bacon is sizzling. Welcome to the Daily Swole.
Test, 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 testing, test, 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 test Ickles, test Ickles. Welcome everyone to episode 766 of the Daily Mother Swole, the most muscular Swolecast, Beardcast, Broadcast, Gaincast, Mancast, Pimpcast, Slaycast, and Taintcast in the realm, because when I flex, you flex, we all flex our biceps. What the hell is going on, beaches? Welcome to episode 766. We are quadcasting and dropping knowledge nukes, nips, and tits everywhere on Twitch, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Remember, fam, twitch.tv/Swolenormous if you want the crispest, the most juiciest Papa Swoleo in the world. What up, goat? Yeah, I'm wearing a shirt today. I was waiting for someone to pick up on that, and I'm like, you know what? Fucking A. I'll wear shirts if I wanted to. Oh my goodness. So what's going on, fam? Happy fucking Monday. This is going to be a fire episode. I am bringing, you know me. You know old Papa Swoleo. You know how I am always stepping up the games and the gains. And today we're going to go toe to toe and break down your pull-up woes. I'm going to show all of you how you can do a pull-up if you can't do a pull-up, and if you can do a pull-up and multiple pull-ups, I'm going to show you and break it down how you can do more. So I have some videos coming in towards the middle and end of this episode, so stay with me. You are going to freaking love it. If you're watching on Instagram, you're going to have to watch on Twitch, YouTube, or Facebook to get the video, but that's just the way it rolls. That's just the way the cookie crumbles, fam. Welcome, Cisco, Mike, Zach. What's going on? What's going on, YouTube fam? People that are coming in. We're looking good. Stream's looking good. Just checking out everything. Beautiful. So I just got back from doing actually a chest and back workout. If you follow me on Instagram, you saw my story. I just banged out nasty chest and back, and I've been doing a more frequency, less volume, but I've been doing a ton of supersets. So I'm doing chest back, and I'm doing shoulders and arms another day, and I'm splitting up in the middle with legs. So I'm probably doing everything about once every or twice every week, once every 4 or 5 days, and I'm on a pretty good routine, and it helps me get into the gym, get in and get out. And I am actually recording, or I actually did record, a virtual trainer. For those of you that are in Swolenormous X, you're going to have a virtual trainer. I'm going to try to get that out today and tonight. We're overdue for a virtual trainer for those of you that are in the Swolenormous X fam. So that's another fire workout that you can drop on your own faces, and you could bang yourself up with this week. What's going on, Mickey? What's up, Jennifer? Greg, what up? Russell, Dale. No nipcast today. Oh, did I miss the nip? Someone just called me out on that. Did I miss the nipcast? Fuck. I knew I missed something. Oh my goodness. So let's jump into the show. So thank you for watching. Thanks for listening. Remember, everyone, every episode, SoundCloud and Apple Podcasts, so you can catch up when you're driving or when you're doing anything outside. Plug in some earbuds and just fucking rage with Papa Swoleo. I've done this content. We've talked about the pull-up. We've talked about how to improve your pull-up. I've done some episodes on the Daily Swole before, and I've done breakdowns on other videos on YouTube and in Swolenormous X about how you can improve your pull-up and different modifications. So we're going to break that down today. And I want to start and preface all this by explaining why people can't do a pull-up. First off, when you're storing body fat, most of your fat is going to be on your midsection or on your legs and your ass. So what's happening is the musculature has to lift more weight. So the reason why when someone's more muscular, when someone's more overweight or has more mass, it's harder for the upper body, the arms, to pull that against the pull of gravity and lift it up off the ground. Now, in order to get your first pull-up and break through that plateau or break through a plateau of only being able to do 4 or 5 or 3. I know a lot of people that can't do a pull-up, but just as much as someone can't do a pull-up, you have people that can only do 2 or only do 3, and they're stuck at that. So that's almost the same as not being able to do a pull-up. You can't do multiple pull-ups. You're struggling after you do 1, or you can do 1 or can do 2, and you can get to like 4, 5, 6, 10, 15 plus. And there's many different strategies, but we're going to go over the main concept. So when you are getting into doing pull-ups, or any kind of exercise, and you're focusing on improving your strength, because this is essentially strength and endurance, you have to understand how the muscles work. You have to understand how the muscles contract. And the muscles contract the same way essentially throughout the entire range of the movement. So any exercise you do, there's a shortening period and there's a lengthening period of the muscle. So there's a period where the muscle fibers are shortening and crossing over one another, and that's called the concentric contraction. And there's a period of lengthening with the muscle, right? You're curling your bicep, your elbows, the flexion is taking place, the angle in the elbow is closing, and then it's going to open up, and then the biceps is going to get longer. It's going to lengthen. It's going to elongate. So this happens with every muscle. You have a shortening and you have a lengthening. Now some muscles are made more for providing or producing more force, and some are more for stabilization, but this is how muscle fibers work. And the interesting thing is that there are 3 types of contractions. There's concentric, isometric, and eccentric. And the muscle can contract, in other words, produce internal tension to overcome an external force in 3 different ways. The muscle can contract while it's shortening, which is the concentric, which is the curling, the upward motion of a curl, for example. Let's talk about the pull-up. It's the upward motion of the pull-up when you're pulling yourself up, or when you're pulling a bar down. If you're doing a pull down, the muscle's contracting and while it's shortening. And then you have the isometric. Let's say you're holding at the top of a pull-up. The muscles, you're producing force, you're using energy, you're squeezing the muscles, it fucking hurts, but you're not changing position. So the muscle is contracting, but the length is not changing. So that's an isometric contraction, okay? When there's tension and there's force and internal tension being produced in the muscle, but there's no appreciable change of length. Appreciable change of length. Pull, I'm stuck at 6 reps. Okay, so while I'm explaining this, I'll go into the next contraction, the most important one that I want to talk about today. Everyone put down whether you can do a pull-up, you can't do a pull-up, or how many you can do. So if you can, how many can you do with good form? We're not talking about kipping, CrossFit, bullshit pull-ups. We're talking about real strict pull-ups. So can you do one? If you can, how many can you do? So just put that in the comments below, just so I can get an idea of who I'm talking to right now, and then I can skew the conversation maybe if it goes one way or the other big time. All right, so you have those 2 types of contractions. You have the concentric, when the muscle's producing force and shortening, and then you have the contraction isometric, when the muscle's producing force, but it's not changing in length. Then you have the eccentric contraction. The eccentric contraction is when the muscle's producing force, but it's lengthening. So for example, the lowering portion of a pull-up, the lowering portion of a bench press, the lowering portion of a pull-up, the lowering portion of a bicep curl, the lowering portion of a tricep extension, for example. And that is the strongest muscle contraction. The order of strongest to weakest is eccentric, the lengthening portion while it's producing a contraction, the eccentric. The isometric is the second strongest, and the third, or the weakest, is the concentric. So what we have here with a pull-up, where do you struggle with a pull-up? Do you struggle more on the, like, let's say you're trying to get your first pull-up, or you're trying to get more. What happens? Why can't you get another one? Why can't you get one more? What happens at the end of your set? Or what happens when you hang on the bar and you can't do another rep? You can't pull yourself up, right? Now, what did I just say? What type of contraction is the upward motion when you're shortening? It's called the concentric. The concentric contraction. So you're getting stuck on pulling yourself back up. You're getting stuck on pulling yourself back up. When you're at the bottom part, when you're hanging and you can't pull yourself up, you cannot produce enough force with your concentric contraction to lift yourself up to the bar. So you're done. You're spent. The interesting thing about this situation is that was your weakest contraction. That was your weakest. You're not able to pull yourself up. That's a concentric contraction. That's when the muscle's producing internal tension to overcome an external force while it's shortening. And you can't pull yourself up. You are failing because your weakest contraction is tapped out. What about your strongest contraction? What about your second strongest contraction? What about the eccentric and the isometric? What about the lengthening? What about the holding? The reason why that's important is that it's the same muscles that are working on all three of them. I'm going to repeat that. The interesting thing about everything I just told you is that those three muscles, or those three types of contractions, are all taking place in the same muscles. So you're struggling with pulling yourself up. You're struggling with pulling yourself up. You're struggling with the concentric contraction. You're struggling with the muscle not being able to overcome that external force, not being able to lift up, not being able to shorten. So the same muscles that are pulling up are the same muscles that hold at the top and the same muscles that let you down. I'm going to repeat that one more time. The same muscles. I'm just going to be very general. Let's say the lats, the traps, the rhomboids, those are the ones that are working. I know the biceps work and all that stuff. Let's just talk about the muscles that work for a pull-up. Just imagine all of them, whether you know them all or not. Those muscles work on the way up. Those muscles work at the top. And those are the same muscles on the way down. So here's the proposition. Here's how you are going to get to do your first pull-up. Here's how you're going to break your plateau of how many you can do. And this is borderline guaranteed. This is how you train for strength. This is how you break those plateaus. Okay? So right now, before I get into it, and especially before I show you the videos, I'm going to show you the videos. If you're watching on Twitch, Facebook, or YouTube, I am going to split screen and show you these videos and show you exactly how I execute these and how you can execute them yourself. So you have an opportunity right now in the next couple minutes right now to hit the share button, like, spread the word, tell your friends, anyone that struggles with pull-ups or anyone that really values fitness and learning more, share this right now, tag them, get them in here. I need a sip of bone broth. Let me get some bone broth in here. Hold on a second. So let me see some of the comments, what's going on. I can do, okay, let's see. Russell can do a solid 10 to 15. I'm on YouTube right now. Let's see. Dale's got 4 to 5. Coon Dog's got 5 good ones. Did my first pull-up 2 weeks ago and I'm 43. Good for you, Dale. Now, dog, man, you're not hella weak, bro. You're not hella weak. Don't be bad. You're not weak. You can be stronger. I'll get you stronger, bro. You're stuck at 6 reps on Instagram. People are just joining. I think everyone's bouncing over to like Twitch, Facebook, or YouTube so they can see the video. On a side note, does anyone accidentally touch a screen that's not a touch screen? Because I have like an iPhone right here for Instagram, and then I reach for my Mac, and it happens a lot. I catch myself last minute. I go to like touch my actual monitor. I'm like, oh, it's not a touch screen. I'm like, I forget I need a mouse. I come back. I'm like, oh. All the time, I just touch shit. I'm like, oh, fuck, it's not a touch screen. Well, soon everything's going to be a touch screen. You could do 20, Clay. That's beast, yo. Everyone's like, all the time. Everyone's like, yeah, I just touch screens. Daniel Tynes on Facebook. I love pull-ups. A big part of my back training. What's with the message on the board behind you? Oh, yeah. Well, if you're watching live, should I braid my pubes? That's the question of the day. It's behind me. I always put a question of the day behind. Well, I shouldn't say always, but I used to, and I'm doing them again. So you can answer that. Just make sure you're clear in the comments that you're answering the question on the board. Should I braid my pubes? And that's all I'm going to say about that. I'm not going to explain that at all. When I started, I could barely do 1. Now I'm at 7. Joshua, that's huge. That's huge. What about D's nuts? Derek Palisade, what about D's nuts? Your D's nuts or my D's nuts? Or do you mean D's nuts? Like that. My grip starts to hurt. Well, grip is important for sure. 3 to 5 good ones. Michael Pesta, 3 to 4. Victor, 5 to 8. Jonathan Beauchamp, 16. Not yet. 3 quality ones. I can do 3. Okay, so we got a lot of you can do some. Now, this is great for those of you that can do some. And like I said, it can help you if you're going from 0 to 1, especially if you can kind of get part of it, but you can't really get it clean. And especially if you're doing like 3 to 5, like in that low range. 16, it can absolutely help. There's different ways to break through plateaus when you're like getting 10 to 15, when you're getting 15 to 18 or 20. That gets a little bit more specific, of course. Of course, as you get more and more and more, that ramp up is like, once you could do 20, getting 20 to 25 is going to be a lot harder than going from like 1 to 2, right? Or 3 to 6. It's normal. It's that strength curve. As you get stronger and stronger, there's less. You're not going to keep on training and then eventually get to 100. That's extremely unlikely, right? No braids, dreadlocks on them balls. Okay. What about, that's my ball sack, but what about the pubes? What about like up top? Like, should I be like party in the front, or like, party downstairs and, keep the attic nice and clean? Or should it be like, a storage space up top and then boom, down below you got the Gandalf going? I don't know. I'm debating it. I might just iron them and go for the Gandalf. Go for the wizard down below. The real Middle Earth. Clay Meyer, does it help to wear gloves because my hands sweat easily and get slippery? I don't like gloves. I really don't like gloves. You can use certain types of wraps. You can chalk up. A lot of gyms don't allow chalk for obvious reasons. It makes a mess. But some gyms are designed for that and they don't care. It's like a strength training gym. But a lot of like regular gyms, if you put chalk, you have to keep it really minimal so no one sees you and no one's going to catch you. But the interesting thing about gloves is that gloves increase the thickness, so it makes it harder to grip. And if you have a thicker bar, it's going to make it harder to grip. So if you're wearing gloves when you're doing pull-ups, it might help you from slipping, but it's going to increase the diameter of your grip. So it's going to be potentially harder. Now, it depends that the offset of not slipping might help you more than wearing the gloves, but it depends on how thick they are. You can get really thin, but we're not talking about pull-ups with wraps here. That's like a different thing. Comb over, okay. Only if it's a French braid. Ooh, that's going to take a little bit more growth. Alex Clayton, I can't do any. I do have weaker wrists. Regular push-ups are even hard for me, but I have a bar in my hallway and I have a goal to do them. All right, so let's get into it. So as I mentioned, the strongest part of the contraction is the eccentric on the way down. On the way down. And the reason why, I'm going to get into that, Jamie Ellison, I used to have the pull-up assist, but I'm down to 60 pounds of help, still struggling with one. That's because you're using that pull-up assist, and those things are fucking bullshit. I hate them. Bands are, they're next on the list. They can help in a certain way, but you have to have core strength. So core strength is very important. Having good core strength, that's why the planks, the single leg, Romanian deadlifts, things that really train the core properly, proper glute bridges, proper posture is going to help these muscles activate properly. If you don't have proper posture and you have issues going upstairs around the shoulders, upper cross syndrome, you have internal rotation, you have protraction, you have rounding of the shoulders, you're going to have problems activating your middle and lower traps. So first off, before you go into this, you need to practice your prone cobras, your prone presses, your floor cobras. You can do yoga. You need to open up your chest. You need to open up that middle and lower trap. So if your middle and lower trapezius is not activating, you're going to have those shitty rounded, like when you do a pull-up and your back is rounding up top, you're not going to have that real open retraction and depression with the middle and lower traps. Oh, shout out to Buffalo, Craig. Buffalo loves you, man. You're building a big following up here with me and my boys. What up? Props to Buffalo. Did the snow melt yet? I've never been to Buffalo. Nikki, I just got my first 3 solid. Have been using varying weight monkey bars. Yeah, so the point is, if you don't have proper posture, there's static posture and there's dynamic posture. So your posture and how you are aligned in your upper body is very important to doing a proper pull-up, because you might say, I could do a pull-up, and I might look at your video and be like, man, you're rounding your upper back. You're not even hitting your middle and lower traps. You're not stabilizing your scapula. You're using all biceps, and you're really not doing it properly. You're creating more of a problem by doing it improperly. So first off, corrective exercise, make sure you have good upper body posture. If you don't know what cobras are, go on my YouTube channel. Check out the training playlist. If you don't know what prone press are, I just posted a video on Instagram and Facebook today. It's on my YouTube channel as well. And I do a superset. It's funny, some commentary over it, but it's two great exercises if you do them properly to activate the middle and lower traps. Bro, the 90-90 tricep alternate on 3 is nuts. Oh, thanks, dude. The 90-90 tricep is fucking nuts. The alternating one, yeah. On my way to make some gains. Good. All right, so instead of failing with your concentric contraction, you're done with pull-ups, you just can't do another rep, or you can't do your first one, you can't pull up. Your weakest contraction has tapped out, but that doesn't mean your muscles are done. That's the trick. It's not a trick. That's just the science. That's just the proof. That's just what happens. When your concentric contraction gives out, you can't pull yourself up again. You're not done. You're not tapped out. You still have strength in the muscles. Your weakest contraction, the weakest way those muscles can contract and integrate, is burnt out. But the isometric and the eccentric is still alive and well. So you can bypass the concentric, bypass the upward motion, and focus on the isometric and the eccentric, the negative, in order to get your pull-up. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to bring in the first exercise, okay? I'm going to bring in the first exercise. I want to show you, first off, what I'm going to show you is how you do a full negative with a pull-up, full pull-up. So if you're unable to even go that far and you're still using, like someone that mentioned that you're using the assist, I'm going to show you a way to build up to this. So first I'm going to show you the real thing, the real negative, the real way to train, the real way to, for those of you that can do multiple pull-ups, for those of you that might be doing 5, 10, 15, or doing 4, 5, 6, whatever it is, you are going to do it like this, and you can bust through your plateaus. Those of you that can't even do this, you're still working with a pull-down machine or an assist, I'm going to show you after this one what you're going to be doing. So I'm going to show you how to build up to doing your full-blown negatives, all right? So let's bring this in. All right, so once this gets on the screen, so this is just me at the top of the movement, all right? Now, because you're not going to be able to see the whole image, what I want you to look at is my upper body posture, okay? My upper body posture, my scapula retracted. And if you're watching on Instagram, I highly recommend going over on Twitch, Facebook, or YouTube, because right now I'm demonstrating in the video. My shoulder blades are retracted, depressed, and you can see all those muscles firing, right? So I'm not shrugging my shoulders, I'm pinching back, I'm pulling down. Now, what you might not be able to see, you might not be able to see the box. I have a step up box. I have it could be a chair in your situation, but I have one of those plyo boxes right there in front of me. So I step up, and in this one, I jump up a little bit to get that isometric at the top, but this is not doing isometrics. I'm just doing negatives. But I recommend having a height of a box so you can get up high enough and start even lower. So you're not jumping at all, because you're gonna have a tough time catching it at the top. All right, you're gonna have a tough time catching this at the top. So what you do is you step up and you get that full contraction. Then what you're gonna do, all right, let me get this back up. Let me just rewind this a little bit. Step up. I'm just replaying it. Okay. So right here at the bottom, I'm just going to start it right here. And you're going to see a bunch of, I'm just rewinding it here. So right now in full extension at the bottom, okay, I'm stepping up on the box. So I step up onto the box and I'm ready to go. I'm still standing on the box at this point. Then what I do is I just kind of hop up. If you have like a taller box, I was going to say a higher or taller. I said hauler. If you have a bigger box, you can be a little bit higher. And notice how this bar is not a straight bar. So this is not a straight bar that you might have at your gym. It's not the classic just bar across. This is an angled, part of a 3D Smith at my gym. So then what I do is, here we go. I go up, and that's my isometric. So if you're doing isometric, remember isometric is the second strongest contraction. It's the second strongest contraction. Now, what you can do is you can hold for 1 to 2 seconds and then have a controlled descent. So watch what I do here. I'm holding isometric. Let's say it's 1, 2, 3. Let's say I'm doing sets with a 3-second isometric at the top. And then I lower slowly. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then good. And I step off. I step up on the box and I do it again. And I'm just, I'm not playing this regular speed. I will at the end. See, I kind of like hop up a little bit, hold it for a second or two, and then 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, step up again. And then here we go. I'm up, I'm holding, and then 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then what you can do is start increasing the isometric at the top. You can lower slowly. So if you're just getting into negatives, you might only be able to do an isometric. So ladies, gentlemen, if you're still a beginner and you're really getting into this, you should only do the isometric hold at the top. You might even need your foot or a toe on a chair to take a little bit of the stress out. The importance of doing it this way and not using an assist or a band is that you are activating your core musculature. Okay? You're using your body to control. The problem with all these machines, with the bands and with those like kneeling assist, is that it takes that need for the core out of it. So it doesn't help you get to do a full pull-up. It just helps you and makes you feel like you're doing a pull-up because you can't. So it works the muscles that you want, but not in the way that they should, and it's not helping you get closer. You might have used 120 pounds of assistance before, and now you're on 50 or 60 or 40. But it's helping you use less assistance on the machine. It's not helping you towards doing a pull-up. You'll get off that and still not be able to do a pull-up. I guarantee it. You might get one. Wow, it helped you do a pull-up. You're not going to break that plateau. Your muscles, you probably will still struggle with doing a full pull-up because of the muscles that aren't activating when you're kneeling. Okay? So I'm going to play this. I'm going to go back and I'm going to play this full speed. And I'm not doing too much of an isometric. I'm just kind of holding. So let's just play this. Hold on, make sure. All right. So I'm stepping up and you'll see, here we go. Jump up, slow, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Step up. And this is real time. This is like, this is not sped up. This is not slowed down. And it's controlled all the way through. It's controlled all the way through. It's consistent. I'm not dropping at the end. I'm not throwing out my shoulder at the bottom part of the movement. I'm pinching, depressing my shoulder blades, and I'm controlling the way down. And then you see at the end, all of a sudden it gets hard, right? All of a sudden it gets hard at the end, and that's when you stop. So you can start with a set of 5 negatives, 5 seconds. Then as you get better, you'll do a set of 5 negatives and probably, I don't know, maybe 7 seconds, a set of 5 for 10 seconds. Once you can start doing, a set, and pretty much once you can start doing a rep where you're doing, let's say, a 10 to 15 second negative, you can probably already do a pull-up. So that's how you start. You start with the isometric, and then you upgrade from an isometric to negatives or 1 negative, 1 or 2, and then you increase the time of the negative or increase the time of your isometric, and you push yourself that way. So you're using the same muscles that you need to pull yourself up, but you're bypassing that weaker aspect of the muscle and going for the stronger, which in turn helps you for the concentric because it's the same muscle. So you kind of trick the body, you overload it when it doesn't get overloaded. So if you do 3 pull-ups and you can't do another one pulling up, how are you going to do 4 just by doing 3 over and over again? That's not how it works. You have to overload the muscle. Well, if your muscle can't be overloaded anymore on the upward motion with the concentric contraction, then you have to skip that, go to the isometrics, go to the eccentrics, and it will break down the tissue. You'll be sore as shit, so don't do too much when you start and build up from there. And your concentric will get stronger because the same muscles are working. It's just the other 2 types of contractions that a muscle can undergo. All right. If there's any questions, put them in. Let's go to the next. Let me play this one. This is a second set. I paused for a little bit, or I demonstrated 1 or 2 more. So I'll play it in real time. Step off and then slow And there was a short rest. I just wanted to get a couple more videos for the instructional. So now I'm going for like a closer grip. And then, just changing the angle. Cool. All right, I'm pretty toast at this point. If you haven't noticed, it's getting a little bit more slow. And then once your negative gets really fast and you really can't catch it anymore, then you're just done. Like right there, I was done. Okay, so let's go to the next video. So how do you, it's a nice freeze frame, right? So how do you go from that, or how do you go from 0 to that? How do you build up? What if you can't do this? What if you can't do this? What if you can't do a full standing negative? First off, has anyone tried this before? Those of you that are watching live, have you tried this before? All right, have you tried this before? Now this is, yeah, you're welcome, Jamie. This is not just for beginners. This is for anyone. This is going to help you if you're doing 10 and you're stuck at 10, you can't do 12. This is going to help you if you're at 15 and you can't get past 15. This is going to help if you're doing 6 and you can't get 10. This is going to help you. So what you can do is you can start doing sets where you do your set of 6 and you're like, oh, I can't do a single repetition. Like you did 6 full reps. Cool, but you want to do 10. So after you get to 6, you step up on a box and you bang out 4 or 5 more negatives at the end of your set. Imagine how fucking blasted you're going to be. Imagine how blasted you're going to be. So you go towards when your muscles are fatigued, right? Remember, after the sixth rep, you're done. You can't do another pull-up. Bullshit. Your concentric contraction is fried. You can still work those muscles just isometrically and eccentrically. And boom, at the end of your set, bang out some negatives. Work your fucking muscle and work all of it. And work all of it. How wide should your grip be? Wider than shoulder width. Especially if you have upper body compensations. You go too close together, it can put pressure on your shoulder, but also when you go a little bit wider, it'll help you activate your middle and lower traps. If you still do cobras and stuff, it'll help you. If you're too close, it's really hard to pinch because your arms are so close together, you're getting too much protraction and the scapula is separating too far. It's really hard to have that mobility. Okay, so let's go into so let's say you can't do this. Let's say you can't do a full standing pull-up like this. So let's go into the next exercise. All right. So now we got this variation. All right. Let's say you can't do a full pull-up. Let's say you can't do a full pull-up. You can't do a full pull-up. You can't do this modified. You can't do the step-off negatives. Like that's too hard for you. You can't even do an isometric. You can't hold it at the top, right? You can't even hold it at the top. This is how you're going to do it. This is how you're going to progress to doing a full-blown negative vertical. You're going to do the same thing on a bar. Now you can make this easier by raising the bar higher. So the angle is higher and it won't be as much gravitational pull. You won't feel the challenge as much. And you do your pull-ups. This is essentially a pull-up for you. You could do overhand or underhand. This is underhand, but if you're trying to do a pull-up, I would recommend overhand or both. Mix it up. And this is your, right, modified pull-up. And I have like some breakdowns, keep your knees aligned, blah, blah, blah. This is an instructional video I've done before for my Swolenormous X members. Up and down. So what you would do here is you would come to the top. This is your isometric. So this point right here is your isometric. And you can hold that for 5 seconds, 10 seconds. And then your negative is here, slowly down, right? And then what you can do is either pull yourself back up, which I wouldn't recommend because if you're doing a real negative, it's going to be too hard for you probably to pull yourself back up. But then you can bring your foot back, kind of like, or after doing the negative, you sit down and then bring your feet together. You sit down, you just reset and just start at the top again. You come back up here, hold, and then let yourself down slow. And let's say that's as heavy as you can go. You can't pull yourself back up. Just boom, drop your butt down to the ground, or have like a chair or a bench there or a ball or something like a Bosu ball or something like that, or a plyo box. And then, depending on how the height of the angle and how big you are or small you are or skinny or where you're doing this, but that's it. You could do this on a TRX. You could do this on any of those like wall anchored ropes or something like that. And that's how you would build your strength up. That's how you would get yourself to doing a full pull-up or a full negative pull-up or an isometric. You change the angle. You take the stress off the body because it's body weight. It's body weight exercises. So when you're doing body weight exercises, like let's say you're grabbing a 30-pound dumbbell. If you want less weight, what do? You grab a 15 jabroni or a 10. But in this case, it's your body weight. So how do you make it easier for your body? Well, you have to play with gravity. Is it easier to pull horizontal? Kind of like you have some kind of like vector force of gravity, or should you go inverted and pull directly against gravity? It's easier if you change the angle and go more horizontal, for example. So in this image, in this situation, you are making it easier when you make the bar higher, when you make the bar more vertical. And it's going to be harder if you invert it more and you're going more against gravity. So that's how you modify. And that's how you get to the point where you're doing straight negatives. Okay? And you can follow this methodology very, very simply in your programming. Prioritize. If it's important for you, if it's important to you to do a pull-up, then you should be doing your pull-ups first in your back training. You should be doing your pull-ups first. You shouldn't be doing them at the end. They're not a burnout. If you want to prioritize being able to do a pull-up, you got to do this kind of stuff earlier in your workout or multiple times a week if you can handle it. Like you do 2 upper body days a week, let's say, make sure the pull-ups come first. Let's say you separate your chest and back day, then do these on back day, do your chest day maybe 3 or 4 days apart and hit it again on back day. You can do pull-ups. You could do this stuff if you're not sore, if you're not fatigued, and depending on your experience and your training, you could do this multiple times per week. I wouldn't recommend, especially with the negatives, try the negatives. Try the isometrics, try just the holds. If you can't do a negative, that's fine. Try to hold for 10 seconds at the top with perfect form. Activate your middle and lower traps, depress your scapula before you do your pull-up, that whole thing. And maybe do a couple negatives, but that's it. Like really just go maybe go hard for 1 set. Don't push yourself. You want to see how you react to it because this is how you get sore. You probably weren't taught this in fitness school because there is no such thing as fitness school, but you get sore from the eccentric. You get sore from the eccentric contraction. From the negative, you get sore from the negative. You get sore when the muscle is lengthening, providing tension, and the muscle fibers are ripping, tearing, creating trauma while they're lengthening. Because an eccentric contraction is essentially the muscle trying to produce, or the body producing internal tension in the muscle, and it can't handle the external force. So it's losing. Think of a concentric force as the muscle winning, and think of the eccentric force essentially as losing. It's lengthening while it's trying to contract and resist that lengthening. So imagine someone pulling your arm and you're resisting while your arm is getting pulled, and you have a couple huge people pulling a rope that's tied to your wrist, and they're pulling it and you're resisting, it's getting longer, eventually pop, snap, rip, right? So you don't want to pull that, you don't want to push that type of contraction too hard at the beginning. But that is why that type of contraction, that lengthening part of the movement is where you get sore. That's why when people cheat and they struggle on the way up and they let the weight flop down, they're missing all the tension on the muscle. They're missing the best parts of lifting. That's why most people don't get big. They swing the weight up and they flop it down. They don't focus on the eccentric, which is the strongest and arguably the most important type of muscle contraction. Because once you spend and once you eliminate and once you blast the eccentric contraction, you're fucking done. You do negatives until your tank is empty. You can't fucking hold. You can't pull up. You're done, because that's the strongest type of contraction that those muscles can undergo. And that's what I'm going to leave you with. So if you are coming in now and you missed those breakdowns, or if you're watching on Instagram and you didn't see the video breakdown, you weren't watching on Twitch, Facebook, or YouTube, go check out the video, broke it all down. So that is how you do a pull-up. That is how you do a pull-up. That's how you will get to do a pull-up. That's how you do your first pull-up. That's how you'll do your fourth pull-up. That's how you'll get to do your 10th pull-up. And that's also how you can get to do your 20th pull-up. I know, because the most pull-ups I've ever done, I think, was 20 or 23. I can't do that many now, but I could do plenty with good form. And that's just one way to improve and to get past that threshold of not being able to do a pull-up, or even not even being able to do an isometric or a full negative. That is where you need to focus your energy. If you're focused on improving your pull-up or getting your first pull-up, any kind of aspect in that nature, you need to do it first. Prioritize it. Pull-ups come first. Focus on that in your training. Focus on that in your workouts. Do it first. Do it once or twice a week. Play with negatives. Test it out. See how you like it, and go from there. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me for episode 766 of the Daily Mother Swole, the most muscular Swolecast, Beardcast, Broadcast, Gaincast, Pimpcast, and Slaycast in the realm. Because when I flex, you flex. We all flex our biceps. Thanks for joining me live on Twitch, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. And thank you for listening to the podcast on SoundCloud and Apple Podcasts. I will see everyone tomorrow for 767. Peace, McGee's fam. Deuce, Magoose. A Papa Swolio. Out. Later.